It's an education program that Indiana will spend about $80 million on this year.
That's money that some parents say gives them the freedom to choose what's best for their child. And it's money that some school officials say is a choice by state lawmakers to defund public schools.
The argument is one of the most hotly debated pieces of Indiana's educational reform. Over the next 2 nights in a News 18 special series, Dan Klein will examine the cost of vouchers.
OW's at the end of the word. OU is usually in the middle.
As Mrs. Plantinga reviews spelling words with her second graders, her class looks like any other, but a closer look shows otherwise. Across the room from the American flag is the Christian flag, and a stack of a dozen Bibles on the bookshelf shows it's not a public school classroom, but one at Lafayette Christian School. Still, thanks to Indiana's school choice voucher program, Sophie Elliott is one of 68 students here who gets thousands of dollars from taxpayers to attend.
The choice is freedom, and that's what you want as a parent. Freedom to choose for your own child what is best.
He wasn't very old.
Which for Sophie and little brother Oliver is Lafayette Christian, even though their mother used to be a math teacher in the public schools.
As a public school teacher, I think that all the funds should go to the public school. But when my own child was involved and I see there's a face to that and this is not a good fit, then it totally changes the whole picture.
1 in 5 students at Lafayette Christian receive a voucher. For families who qualify for 100% of the federal free or reduced lunch program like the Elliots, Indiana will pay 90% of tuition. For families whose income is 150% of the poverty line, the state will pay 50% of tuition.
It's really helping families have a choice. Parents know the best about their kids and what kind of education they want and the best fit for a school.
261 voucher students from the Lafayette School Corporation are more than double the amount for any other district in a 13-county area. LSC Superintendent Les Huddle is one of many who believe that the state should not be in the business of vouchers.
I'm going to give you my personal opinion. My response would be no.
Why not?
It comes down to public tax dollars going towards private education.
If they're not at that school, why is that money needed at that school? It should follow the students.
I really think it's a political decision to somewhat defund public schools.
Still, West Lafayette Superintendent Rocky Killian is not entirely against vouchers.
I'm not opposed to choice. I think every child should have a choice. I think every parent should have a choice. I'm not opposed to that. What I'm opposed to is the mechanism that we're using to fund the voucher movement.
So what is that mechanism? Well, let's say that Indiana's funding of education is this pie. This piece is the voucher program, which last year was $36 million. The rest of the pie, more than $6 billion, goes to fund public schools, which so far have benefited because it's actually cheaper for the state to pay for a voucher student than it is to pay for a year of public schools. However, as the voucher program continues to double every year, there's less money for public schools. Last year, the state sent LSC a check for $35,000 based on savings from vouchers. But there's a catch. With more students than ever receiving vouchers, including thousands who would have attended private school even without a voucher, the years of a voucher program creating surplus money for public schools may soon be over, perhaps even this year. Don't tell that to Killian, who says West Lafayette has lost $900,000 of state funding every year since 2011.
If someone can tell me why we're losing funding, I'd be very interested in knowing that the real reason. I've not been given the real reason why we're losing funding.
And it was 2011, 2012 where vouchers started kicking in.
Mm-hmm. Imagine that.
Last year, the General Assembly expanded some income requirements. Now, families who make up to 200% of the free and reduced lunch program can still get a voucher, as long as they had a voucher student last year or for a special education student. For a family of 4, that's more than $87,000.
So you think that's too high?
Yes.
Vouchers were sold on low income and poverty level and those types of things. So with 200% above the poverty level. I'm not sure if that was the original intent.
Regardless of intent, for the Elliott family, where both parents work jobs in the nonprofit sector, the 90% scholarship has provided freedom.
Katrina says if not for a voucher, homeschool was the next best option.
Regardless of the profession that they choose and regardless of how much income that they have from their professions, that they still should have the right to choose what school their kids go to.
Currently, 75% of voucher students are at or below the poverty line and qualify for the 90% voucher. That's down from 85% when the program began 2 years ago. Of the state's nearly 20,000 students, just 492 are in the 200% expanded income bracket. That's just under 2.5%. Right now on WLFI.com, we have much more information, including how many students each area district has lost and how many students and hundreds of thousands of dollars have flowed to area private schools. Tomorrow night on the cost of vouchers, we'll explore whether vouchers have any impact on test scores and student performance. Dan Klein, News 18.
All right, Dan, thank you. We'll see you